Ayan, so welcome mga kasama natin sa BPOS, no? So, welcome to our podcast again for this week. So again, so medyo special yung podcast natin for today since medyo iba siya sa common na podcast na ginagawa natin. Since yung typical na podcast na ginagawa natin, usually meron tayong mga specific guest down for specific na topics and everything. Pero in this case, sa podcast natin ngayon, meron tayong actually three guests from one of our partners which is yung Arcadia. And to give you guys a bit of context kung sino nga ba yung mga kasama natin dito na guest for Arcadia para malaman natin kung ano yung mga background nila. So, bibigyan natin yung mga details from them. So, for the first person for the podcast is si Chase Freo, which is their CEO. He's also the former CEO of Reality Squared Games in Shenzhen, China. And meron din siyang 10 plus years of game publishing experience. So, mukhang ano talaga, solid talagang background nito when it comes to gaming. So, I would say it's a really great thing to talk to this person then kasi someone with 10 years plus of experience in anything, it's actually basically good. Additionally, si Paul Gadi, which is their CTO nga nila, technical director and co-founder din siya ng Altitude Games in Manila, Philippines. And meron din siyang 15 years na game experience in game development. So again, another solid experience then with game development. And lastly, probably someone na familiar din kayo is Carlo Opre. So Carlo Opre is their CMO and is also a former digital marketing manager at Friendster and Level Up Games. And meron din siyang 10 plus years sa digital media. And it's probably something din na napapanood yun din sa YouTube since he's also someone din na napapanood ko din and probably may napanood na rin sa inyo. So those are our speakers for this podcast. And in this case, ang magiging topic natin ngayon is ano ba? Ano ang magiging topic natin? Sa tingin nyo, with those things na binanggit ko, ano kayo magiging topic natin? Can you guys guess sa may comments natin or sa may Discord? Tingnan nga natin kung ano yung guess nyo. I mean, hindi pa ba obvious kung ano yung magiging topic natin? Pero to give you guys a context din, habang nanghula kayo dyan, ang topic natin for this podcast episode is the potential of gaming in the crypto space. So we will discuss this along with discussing about Arcadia since Arcadia is, I believe, one of the things din na masasabi natin, one of the great potentials in of gaming. And alamin nga natin kung bakit with this three guests that we have. And before natin we start the intro, here are the presentation natin before we start.
Yeah, Mark, we can hear you.
Okay, that's great. That's great. So again, thank you for coming. So Paul, Carlo, and Chase. So again, it's really nice to meet you guys. So again, they are from Arcadia. But I guess besides dun sa mga binigyan natin introductions, I think we could give you a time then to introduce yourselves individually para mas magkaroon tayo ng more details about you guys. I think we could start with Carlo.
Yeah, sure. So, unang-una sa lahat, thanks again for having us on your podcast. It is an absolute pleasure to be with one of the pioneers in the space here in the Philippines, brother. We appreciate the work that you do. We appreciate everything you're doing to educate and empower more people, especially here in the Philippines when it comes to our space. No? So, thank you and happy to be with you guys. So, again, I'm Carlo. Most of you probably know me more for my creator side. I've been creating a lot of content for the last few years across different mediums, in sneakers and in gaming and in gadgets. But siguro one thing that not a lot of people know is that my career really started with gaming. I spent 6-7 plus years with Level Up, which is one of the first gaming companies in the Philippines. So it's kind of really awesome to be with the guys in OP Games in Arcadia because it's kind of like rediscovering ang cheesy, no? Your first love. Wushu! Kasi, alam mo, Chase, Paul, promise, every time we would have, can I just say, every time we would have our meetings, and then I would really think back to all of the times in Lev. I'm sure, Chase, you get that also, no? Both of you, since you've been in gaming practically for the longest time. But yeah, that's pretty much about me.
And how about you naman? Let's go with Paul naman.
Yeah, sure. So I guess I can go a little bit back. So Carlo mentioned nga that we've been in gaming for quite a while. So kami ni Chase, we've been in the games industry space. Again, more on game development. So Carlo, yung Level Up, if you guys remember, was games publishing. They published yung Ragnarok, ganyan. A lot of the first games that a lot of people played. Baka masyado na kayong bata for that. I don't know if they played yung Ragnarok, Carlo, pero before, yeah, Level Up was one of the first companies talaga who put gaming in the mainstream in the Philippines. Ako naman, I was one of the early game developers, I would say. That there was a company back then, and there still is, called Anino. Back then, I was working for PLDT naman, making games for mobile. And then but the Anino people became my friends, so we started up a gaming company called Anino Mobile, and that was my first gaming company back then. And yun, so just created games in the Philippines. I've seen the Philippines change then from just consuming games to becoming game developers to now being one of the countries that is leading the play to earn space and the Web3 space. So yeah, really excited to discuss that. There's a lot of things to discuss.
Ayan. Thank you. And obviously, last but not the least is Chase, the CEO.
Yeah, thanks for having us here, Mark. We appreciate the time. So yeah, Chase here, CEO and co-founder of OB Games, and you're right. I've been in the game space at least more than 10 years now. But before games, I was actually in finance. So I was in investment banking, but I left that world to pursue something else. Actually, not gaming. I just stumbled upon gaming when I was actually traveling in China. So it's one of those moments where you're like, oh, hey, you're drinking at a bar. You met someone who's like, hey, do you want to work for us? We're actually a gaming company here in Chengdu in China. And I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. So from finance, complete 180, 180, tama ba? Yeah, complete 180, moved to gaming and never looked back since. And so when I met Paul in 2017, and we're like, okay, actually I met Paul earlier than that. I met Paul when I was in my game publishing years, and I was trying to publish some games from Altitude Games. He's the company that Paul co-founded at the time as well. It didn't work out, but we became really good friends, and that kind of made us realize that what, aside from gaming, we're actually also interested in crypto and blockchain. Why don't we do something together in crypto and blockchain? At that time, we were starting doing our R&D back in 2017. Wala pa masyadong, it's all about crypto and trading and all that stuff, right? Pero walang crypto and blockchain combination, if you may say that. Tapos 2018 is kind of like when we started up the company. Up until now, right? So it was a very long journey. So I'm sure nagsasawa na si Paul sa pagmumukha ko. But that's the short story of my background. So now it's kind of like went full circle again, because there's the financialization side of things, and there's the gaming side of things. So it's good that I experienced both.
Thank you. That's a very great introduction for all of you guys. Pero before we start pala, no, grabe na notice ko, like, for every single one of you, parang ang aga pa, especially kay Paul. Parang sa akin lang yung mukhang gabing-gabi na eh. Sa mga backgrounds here right now.
Oh, I'm not based in Manila
Asa ka
kasi,
Paul ngayon
Mark.
right now?
I'm in Canada, Toronto. So it's 9 a.m.
I
dito.
see. Yeah.
Yeah, sa akin naman it's 7.
I see.
And there's si Carlos in the
Mas maaga kay
Philippines.
Chase.
Ako nasa Pilipinas ako, so parehong gabi sa atin, Mark.
Pero maganda yung lighting ni Carlo, that's why.
Oh, syempre creative.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tinalo dun sa lighting. Yeah, sa lighting. Grabe. But again, I guess di ko na pahabain din pa. So again, we're here to talk about the future of potential games, but at the same time with Arcadia nga, no. So I guess just to start everything dito sa discussion natin, ano nga ba yung Arcadia? Like, who wants to start on presenting ano nga ba yung Arcadia?
Yeah, maybe I can.
All right, who wants to take a crack at it? Go ahead, Paul.
I can take it, Chase. So you guys can see it dun sa upper right, yung Arcadia.fun. So Arcadia essentially is yung platform namin where we try to make Web3 games that are new and do it with indie game developers. So yung idea namin, nung nagsisimula kaming tumingin dito sa blockchain, karamihan kasi ng mga game developers na kumikita before, yung games sila nasa App Store, yung mga games sila kikita yan through ads, kikita through through selling virtual items dyan sa dun sa App Store. And when we saw blockchain, syempre din nagsimula tiningnan namin yung mga technology, sabi ni Chase nga, yung NFTs, yung crypto. So nakita namin na baka pwede natin gamitin yung NFTs, yung cryptocurrency, na yun naman yung bagong way para gumawa ng games, di ba? So hindi lang pagbayad ng games, maraming pwede gawin. Kuwaring NFTs pwede mag-level up. So yun yung gusto namin gawin sa Arcadia, na explore natin kung ano talagang pwede gawin sa NFTs. Nagsimula nga to lahat sa play to earn, di ba? Kaya lahat sa Pilipinas, ang dami naglaro ng Axie, naglaro sila ng other play to earn games. Pero dito sa Arcadia, gusto namin gawin is people can play the games and earn from the skills that they have while playing the games. And also, since we're game developers ourselves, yung ginagawa din namin is gusto namin tulungan yung mga tao gumawa ng games mismo. So yung OP Games naman, yung company who is making Arcadia, we talk with game developers, indie game developers, and if they want to know kung paano pumunta sa blockchain, paano gumawa ng Web3 games, then that's what we do. For now though, we do have a lot of events going with Arcadia. May mga game nights kami. So I think we'll talk about that a little bit more. But yung BPO society, if they want to play games with us and if they want to join the games, I think we'll show a few also later. Then they can stand to earn a few crypto then. So just some incentivization for them to learn what Arcadia is.
Actually, from what you mentioned, kasi syempre nung una nung briefing namin with this Arcadia thing, naisip ko yung concept niya is a good thing Pero when you explained it, it actually makes a lot of sense, like we're in the crypto space right now, no, na Web3 na halos karamihan ng mga bagay. And gaming andyan na talaga yan So, alam mo, combining those two things, especially earning pa, no? So parang ang ganda nga yung combination. And in the end, Arcadia nga yung nagiging end product niya with that. I think that's a really great thing.
Yeah, but if I can
Yes,
just
and going naman with the Arcadia sense, right now, ang dami na rin lalabas sa mga play-turn games. And, go on.
ano yun, I just wanted to add quickly, Mark.
Go on.
So very, very quickly lang, parang apart from just the earning side, and I think sila Paul.
Sorry, do you have something to add back, Carlo?
Yeah, so apart from the earning part that was discussed earlier, I think one point we'd like to emphasize also, and sila Paul and Chase can get into this later, is since a lot of the people in OP Games and in Arcadia have real, gaming experience, parang the focus really is first and foremost making the platform and the games fun. Diba? It's not just the earning part that's critical. And I think that's something that later on when we get into the nitty-gritty of the future of gaming in this space, it's a good thing that when you see gaming companies in the Web3 space, that the people building the platform are actually have the experience in actually making things that people would want to play, and that's something that I see with the team. That's something I see with our meetings, and it's very inspiring, at least for me, to see na talagang they really wanna create a product like the Arcadia and OP Games that would gamers would really want to spend time and effort in. So I just want to put that in also.
Actually, that's a great point then, Carlos, since I mean, obviously there's a lot of popular play-turn games din ngayon, pero hindi lahat sila like sobrang entertaining laruin The earning is good for a lot of them, but diba, sometimes the entertainment is also a big factor kasi kaya nga tayo naglalaro ng games is for us to be entertained din So, it's good na you guys are focusing then with the entertainment of the game since gaming is for fun. So that's a great thing. And going to the next one naman, no? So, for the references of the people na interested pumasok sa Arcadia, ano naman yung mga types of games na meron with Arcadia?
There are multiple games. Currently, I think in the inventory, there's about 43 games right now in Arcadia. Yung focus namin, Mark, when we started up Arcadia was actually casual and hyper casual games. Just because yan yung parang mas madaling lagyan ng tournaments, right? So it's kind of like a game of skill, where we can actually put a leaderboard in a tournament and we can see exactly who among our players are excelling in these types of games. So you see these games, speedrunner games, memory games, for example. These types of games doesn't only require you to grind. but at the same time, it also requires you to have that set amount of skills, whether that's, dexterity, like, good recall, so that we make it as competitive as possible. So karamihan ng games that we have right now are within the um, casual game side of things, pero it's really more competitive, to say the least, because we wanted to make sure na um, there are competitions that could be done all throughout the season. But having said that, there will be more games in the platform as we speak, and these games will become more deeper and deeper and deeper in terms of gameplay, in terms of the complexity of how it's being played as well. So it's going to be constantly evolving. I wouldn't say that it's just going to be casual, hyper casual. There will be more at some point in the future. It would really depend on how the developers we onboard look at the games that they create, and really come up with something really unique for Arcadia.
Is you. That's actually great then with the improvements since with gaming really. But I guess for going to our topic then with no no with this podcast nga din. I just want to ask din in your opinion guys, based on since the develop in Arcadia, which is obviously I think something na we could say na could be a good potential for the future of the gaming space, crypto space din. So, perspective of building something like this in the crypto space. Sa tingin nyo, ano kayo magiging potential ng gaming in the crypto space given your experience on making one right now?
Yeah, maybe I can start. So when I look at it, Mark, as a game developer, no, you kind of see kung yung changes throughout the years sa mga games. Nakwento ko na nagsimula ako sa Anino na yung games dati noon, kung bibili ka ng game, dapat pupunta ka sa store, pupunta ka sa Data Blitz, pupunta ka na bibili ka ng CD, tapos doon tapos malalaro mo yung game. Ngayon, iba na, di ba? May mobile na, tapos ayun, yung mga play-to-earn games, kita mo, karamihan din dyan, pwede laruin sa browser. So as nagbabago yung technology, nagbabago din yung potential. Nung nagsimula yung app stores, lahat ng mga games kumita using yung mga tools na yon. Tapos ngayon, nagsisimula na tayo sa Web3, sa crypto, sa mga wallets, di ba? So it will change how games are paid for, how the genres are played then. So there's surely a lot of potential, and I think we're really in the very, very early days. We had a few successes. We've seen Axie Infinity. We've seen Step N for a while before bumaba yung token price, diba? So there are these little, I would say, uh, sparkles of innovation na nakikita mong lumalabas na yung mga games that will become the reference for when nag-mainstream to lahat. So it's really good that you guys are here highlighting this. Makita natin na the Philippines is one of the early adopters then of this technology. So yeah, so really, really great potential. That's the reason why we're here, of course.
Yeah, and I guess
That's great.
Mark,
And
go
go
ahead.
on.
Yeah, I just wanna add to what Paul mentioned, like us being in the early days. Like in terms of like how this innovation has been, changing the gaming landscape. Like when I started in gaming I was a gamer all my life, right? So nung simula, di ba, we're doing boxed games, right? Like premium games that we buy in Data Blitz, as Paul said. And then when mobile came in, that's when free to play came in, right? It really changed the landscape of gaming in general, because mobile, a lot of people would say, a lot of like in the traditional gaming scene would say, who's gonna play on mobile? Sinong maglalaro ng mga mobile games? Like nobody will, because it's low fidelity, for example. But looking at it 10 years after, free to play is actually one of the biggest contributor in terms of revenue in the gaming space, much higher than the rest. Pagkatapos, mobile games are all the rage, even in the Philippines, for example. I think it's still Mobile Legends who is king, right? In terms of people who play games in general. So I think that there's a lot of potential moving in from boxed games to free to play games, and then now I wouldn't want to say play to earn, because we had some issues with play to earn as well at some point. But it's more of like more financial incentivization along with you playing a fun game, which is play and earn, I would say. But a lot of people are saying too, right? So we'll see more changes, and we'll see more developments on this one, not just coming from OP Games and Arcadia, but also coming from a lot of people in the space in the Philippines. There's a lot of gaming companies that are coming up with really cool ideas as well. So that's very refreshing to see. And so I'm just really excited kung ano yung magde-develop over the next couple of months or even years.
Thank you, thank you. And also, by the way, I also want to ask Carlo din, since na-mention mo, Carlo, na you've been in the gaming space for quite a while na din. But at the same time, I also see you in the crypto space now. May mga ilang times na din na-meet kita in the crypto space. So, I guess in your perspective naman, like, how do you see the potential of this, gaming innovations in the crypto space naman from your experience?
Ako, I related to a lot of my personal time playing games and how, sabihin natin, crypto/blockchain and NFTs could improve, for example, the time I was playing games, diba? So those are like how I think the potential could change. For example, from I'll go very street level. Nung nagsisimula akong maglaro, dumadayo kami ng internet cafe para magpustahan ng Counter-Strike. Alam mo 'yon? Diba? Ewan ko kung naabutan niyo yun, pero nung panahon ko, ganun kami. As in talagang dayo-dayo ng mga internet cafe. May team ka, sakay kami lahat ng van. Tas ang esports naman, di naman as glamorous as now eh. Ngayon, pag esports player ka, may uniform ka, may jacket ka, you're paid well.
Wow,
Hello,
yeah.
dati ang kinakain lang namin patsit canton, itlog, tapos sandamakmak na Mountain Dew. Diba? Pagkatapos nun, may 10 hours na promo sa internet cafe para maging maglaro. So dadayo kami nun to bet para maglaro ng pustahan sa Counter-Strike, magpustahan sa StarCraft, kahit mga mini tournaments sa Dota back then. And doon pa lang automatically you already have an application eh, 'di ba? Sabihin natin betting, localized tournaments before can be international now. You can put together a team and then using crypto and blockchain be able to set up those tournaments and be able to play against one another, your friends, play another. You can put together like a ranking system na MMR and put up like a certain stake or a cash pool. I mean, dun pa lang by itself is already an application. There's also this thing about me. I have this super gripe na every time I would play MMORPGs, when they shut down, I lose all the hard work I put into my characters. Alam niyo yun, di ba? Nagsara ang ibang games, sa mga nag-addict dyan ng Ragnarok, sa mga nag-addict dyan sa RF Online, sa mga nag-addict dyan sa, ano pa ba yung mga sumikat na games dito sa Pinas? Run, Fly for Fun, Gunbound. Yeah, that was such, and people would, alam mo, even some of the games that you used to spend on, even on mobile games, and then if you lose interest, wala nang value lahat ng mga bagay-bagay na yun. Di ba? Kinyari yung mga naggumastos ng sandamakmak na pera sa Clash of Clans, tapos kinalimutan na yung ano nila. Or yung mga Marvel Future Fight.
Future Champions or something.
May hugot to kasi lahat to ginastusan ko eh. So, basta yung point ko, yung lack of ownership over your character and over the things that your character owns. And even the ownership of the work that you put in. Kasi once they shut down the game, they delete it, then it's gone. Diba? I would love to still look back and see Wokin from my Ragnarok days. To see my character that I played in RF Online, that robot. Nakalimutan ko yung pangalan ng mga robot sa RF Online. Cora. Basta yun. Or my character before in Fly for Fun. And if there's one thing I can... And if there's one thing that's super important about that kasi, if there's one thing we've seen in physical collectibles, is that time adds value. Time creates a certain perception of value. For example, yung He-Man na Castle Grayskull, ewan ko kung naglaro kayo, bata ka masyado, Mark. Eh. Baka si Chase na. Baka si Chase.
Wait, hindi din ako makarelate. I'm sorry.
Hindi yung, ewan ko kung alam niyo na, may himan ako na laruan nung bata ako na Castle Grayskull. Parang, yung parang castle na bungo. So, when I dropped by the house of DJ, diba, when I dropped by the house of DJ Big Boy Cheng, who's like a super big collector here in the Philippines, my God, naka-acrylic case yung box nun. Apparently, it's worth thousands upon thousands of pesos. And sa mga naglaro ng Magic the Gathering, I just found out, kasi I sold my Power 9. So yun yung mga Moxes, tsaka Black Lotus and stuff like that. Several years ago, nung nahirapan ako sa pera, like over a decade ago. And now I find out that they're ridiculously expensive na parang pwede ka na bumili ng kotse with a Black Lotus or a Mox. Diba? So, para sa akin, that you can replicate that in online games if you have the ownership in the history and the permanence. Sorry, ang daldal ko masyado, Mark. Ganun kasi ako, I relate it to experience. And that's the reason why when Chase and Paul talked to me with OP and Arcadia, that's why I was so excited, because that was the future that I saw. I saw a lot of the problems that I encountered in games and saw blockchain and crypto and NFTs as a solution. I didn't even look at the play to earn perspective. I just saw my pain points as a gamer and how that would fix it. So yun, sorry, daldal ko, but back to you.
Nicely said, Carlo.
No. Nawala yata si Mark. Mark? Ayan.
Actually, agreeing with Carlo, it's Anna, I agree, with what Carlo, especially alam nyo recently may isang popular na nawala, parang nag-offline na. So yung dinedescribe nga ni Carlo with this one, probably something na marami makarelate, especially the gamers. Kasi imagine, like, pera sinave mo para sa baon mo, or yung pera na pinagtrabahuhan mo for a lot of time, then eventually it would just, so, parang siyempre hindi yun ganun, kasi parang this one, tas mo appreciate, no, na yung pera ko invest dito hindi basta-basta mawawala. So it's definitely a great thing. And also then I just want to ask, with Arcadia naman, kasi with the concept of maintaining the value or the effort or the time that people spend on on gaming, especially in blockchain games, ang ma-ask ko lang siguro is, like, how do you think Arcadia would play a role in this, in maintaining this kind of concept? Ano yung magiging role kaya ni Arcadia with this one? How would Arcadia ensure na, alam mo yun, yung blockchain, yung efforts ng mga gamers in this blockchain games would be sustained?
Yeah, maybe I can start. So I think one of the biggest things that number one, Arcadia is trying to accomplish here is two things, right? A lot of times people would ask, will your legacy be on the player side of things, or will it be on the developer side of things? Can you hear me, Mark?
Hello? Is it okay now? Okay na, okay, get. Ayan, so, thank you. So, going back to sinabi ko nga doon. Okay, pero audible naman na siya, audible?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so yun sa question ko lang naman is, like, how do you think Arcadia would play a role in maintaining, this time and effort and money that people would spend on gaming? Like, how do you think Arcadia would play the role for that? And I guess how Arcadia would also maintain that concept?
Yeah. I think what we are trying to accomplish here in Arcadia is two things, right? On the game's perspective, we're actually going to onboard developers into the space so that they can offer a lot of games that players can have fun with. But on the other side of the fence, we're also looking at how to onboard players without necessarily being scared of paano gumawa ng wallet, or onboarding themselves into the crypto space in general, which is one of those things that if we wanted mass adoption, then we should think of how do we onboard millions of people as opposed to what we currently have right now in Web3, right? Pero I think, with Arcadia, the biggest value that, a player can go ahead and really, realize is that on top of the individual games that are playable within Arcadia right now, the platform itself is a meta game. So what I mean by that is you're not only playing one small game of, I don't know, Blaze Racing, for example, but your persona, your profile in the platform is essentially your ticket to a much more bigger world within Arcadia itself. So yung mga games sa platform is just one of those experiences, right? Parang if you come to look at Time Zone, for example, we walk into a games arcade, tapos punta ka sa counter, bili ka ng tokens, and then you have plenty of games to play. I used to play air hockey, for example, because I don't know, gusto ko yung air hockey. But the cool thing about Arcadia is that these games in Arcadia, these are games that we don't own, right? Most of these games eventually are owned by either one person, one developer, a DAO, a group of people, right? It could be owned by Carlo Ople. The sky's the limit in terms of like who can be in Arcadia, and I think that's going to be very powerful because hindi lang yung platform ang may control sa mga games that are playable in Arcadia. It could be anybody, and I think that's going to be a thing that's going to change how game ownership works, or even asset ownership works at some point. So we're really excited to really develop that feature at some point in the future as well, because we wanted to make sure that it's very inclusive in terms of like who can take part in the fun and who can also take part in the enterprise side of things, which is running a game and setting up tournaments. And so at some point maybe you guys can go ahead and own a game as well in Arcadia, right? With board punks being the NFT of choice that can be used in that specific game. So I think that's kind of like where we're gonna be leaving that in terms of paano magiging inclusive yung Arcadia to both players and developers at the same time.
Thank you for that. Actually, so far from, alam mo, basta mga narinig ko nga din with you guys. Kasi when I first heard Arcadia nga, I think it's a really great concept. But of course, inisip ko din like how it would be executed and everything, and how would it happen. Pero, the more you guys drive it, the more it makes much more sense to me. And it's actually something very interesting nga talaga the more we discuss it right here, right now. And also before we end then, no, since those are the questions I have so far, I also want to ask, do you guys have any probably campaigns you want to share with us, or anything people would expect from BPOS or outside from BPOS na manggagaling from Arcadia? You could share it with the people right now.
Yeah, I guess I can take that because we have a lot, no? So we have an ongoing game night right now. So if people want to, experience Arcadia, experience the games, the competition, the tournaments, and have a chance of winning and earning a little bit, then you might want to check it out, arcadia.fun. So you can test out different games, just connect your wallet and start gaining experience, practicing. And that's important, lalo na for those of you who are here sa Board Punks, diba? Kasi we are having our own game night together with you guys very soon. So I believe the mechanics and the prizes will be announced as well very soon. So abangan nyo yan. So sa lahat ng mga nakikinig dyan from the Discord channel, and everywhere this is streaming, if you want to participate and you want to join and you want to test it out, now would be the best time to do so. so that when we do the actual game night with you guys, and the prizes will be better and bigger, medyo nakapag-practice na kayo and medyo alam niyo na yung mga different games para mas maganda yung chances ninyong manalo. At the end of the day, it's kind of like, it's like playing in a Web3 arcade. We have a lot of games. You get high scores. The people with the best scores win awesome prizes. It's as simple as that. You get to play, have fun, earn at some point if you win. And then over time, especially when the new features come in, you get to build, your own, for lack of a better word, character or profile, especially if you buy an Arcadia and an NFT, which can be your avatar per se in the world of Arcadia. And you can use that hopefully in all the different other games that will be building in the future. Pwede pa nga, eventually, pag-usapan na natin, Mark, baka yung mga board punks NFT can be avatars and characters in the world of Arcadia as well, di ba? Those are things that we can explore. Kasi, I mean, that's one of the awesome things din about this space. You're really just limited with your imagination and how willing you're willing to push it, di ba? So, would love to see that happen if you guys are also excited for that in the future.
Thank you. And how about the others? How about you, Chase or Paul? Do you have any, I guess, last message then or anything you want to share or promote from Arcadia then?
Okay, yeah, I am on mute. Yeah, but I guess like Carlo, pretty much summarized a lot of the things that we're currently building in Arcadia and LB games. I think a few things that players can expect from Arcadia, not just now but like in the upcoming months of further development of the platform is a much more radical use of NFTs, not just not just within Arcadia in itself, but also being able to actually work with PFP projects such as yourself. So we're doing a lot of like thinking in terms of like how do we open source some of those games so that we can actually entertain PFPs to actually become a playable NFT within some of the games that we currently have in Arcadia. So that would mean that at some point it's not just Arcadians, for example, but also partner NFTs that could potentially reap the benefits of having an Arcadian community, of being present in one or several games within Arcadia, and really just soaking into the fun itself and the competition of the types of games that we currently have in Arcadia. So hopefully we get to get to do that as soon as we can. But there's really a lot of like new stuff coming out on the Arcadian side of things, not just on the gaming side of things, but also on the NFT side of things. So do watch out for that.
Cool. And maybe I can
Go, Paul.
say a little bit around our game development, Mark. So yun nga, I did mention, well, all of us here coming in the Chase, ni Carlo, we started in the industry playing games, di ba? Sabi nga ni Carlo, he was doing that, going around to sa mga net cafe. I used to do that as well. StarCraft yung nilalaro ko nun, Carlo. So we should have a StarCraft match sometime in the OP games.
Game ako dyan, StarCraft na.
So yeah. Kaso 1 not 2, hindi ko na laruin 2. So maraming ganun kwento nagsisimula from playing and then got into the industry in some other way, like in marketing, ako in game development. So if there are people in the BPOS community who want to make games, diba? That's something that we would want to engage with then. So because if they are game developers, they can put their games on Arcadia, and that's another way that we could really grow the ecosystem aside from people playing. So yeah, so really looking forward to more engagements.
Mark, can I just say very
Thank you,
quickly
then. Thank you. And again,
before you move on?
go, Carlo, go.
Can I just compliment your video assets for your podcast? They're really kick-ass. I mean,
Yeah, ang galing.
very inspiring. You've given me so many ideas. So yun lang, gusto ko lang sabihin, ang ganda ng video assets ninyo dito.
We'll have Arcadians na rin doing like that.
Galing, brother.
Yeah.
Kasi talaga, effort. Good job, good job. Okay, back to you.
Actually, thank you. Actually, I'm with our artist today din dito talaga namin. Pero ayaw niya magpakita daw sa camera, medyo mahihain siya. But yeah, she's the one who did all of this. So, shout out kay Melon Babe. She's the one who did everything. Sobrang ganda nga actually. Like, yeah, pinaprepare nga din niya to, sabi niya. Sinasakto namin yung sizes from StreamYard eh. Like, 5 people, everything, 4 people. Kaya, sabi ko, ayan. And lumayo na siya. Ayaw niya magpakita sa camera. So, but yeah, it's from an artist na ano. Dito. Ayan, so again, it's really nice talking to you guys, no? Kasi from gaming and crypto perspective, sobrang ano eh, iba yung feeling na makausap ka ng someone from crypto but someone also that is a gamer eh. So I guess ganun na feel ko with you guys, and it's really fun talking with you guys, and alam mo, sobrang dami kong things na I think would expect from Arcadia, and I think there's a lot of things that could happen with Arcadia pa, no? So I guess moving forward, sana patuloy pa mag-grow with this one and with People's din. I think we could collaborate with a lot of things. So again, thank you so much guys for participating with us here in the podcast,
Thank you,
and hope
Mark,
to
for
see you
having
guys in
us.
more future things in crypto space. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you. Salamat.
So ayun, thank you guys for attending sa may podcast natin here with Arcadia. So again, Arcadia is one of our partnerships nga din recently. And as you can see, it's actually something very interesting kasi I do find it very, very, very interesting na naging ganap nga din talaga with the crypto space and gaming talaga, since gaming should be fun, and I think it will be fun with Arcadia here. So hope you guys na appreciate yung podcast natin today. We have a lot of podcasts again coming from next weeks. Probably sa medyo typical na tayo na podcast style din, but I hope you guys na appreciate yun din yung special na alignment natin with podcast. At the same time, gaya nga ng sabi niya, yun, makikita niyo yung mga graphics pala natin, hindi natin gano'n nabibigyan ng appreciation with our artist, si Melon Babe. Again, hindi siya magpapakita muna kasi medyo nahihiya daw siya. But again, yung mga nakikita niyo palang graphics here, and yung mga nakikita niyo yung background dyan, it's all with her efforts talaga to make this, very beautiful. So again, thank you guys for joining us here in our podcast. Hopefully nag-enjoy kayo and may kami kayo natutunan. So thank you guys and have a great day. Bye-bye.